The old pickup truck rattled down the dirt road as the sun painted the Montana sky in shades of orange and red. Do-Hyun Park wiped the sweat from his forehead and squinted at the horizon. Another long day on the ranch was coming to an end. His cattle were fed, the fences were checked, and all he wanted now was a hot shower and maybe some leftover stew. Then he saw the smoke. It rose from his back pasture in a thin black column, twisting in the evening breeze. Do-Hyun's jaw tightened. Grass fire, maybe, or some idiot kids messing around where they shouldn't be. He turned the truck toward the smoke and pressed the gas pedal harder. When he got closer, he realized it wasn't a grass fire. Something metal gleamed in the fading light, half buried in the dirt near his cattle fence. The object was shaped like a teardrop about the size of a small car, with strange symbols glowing faintly on its surface. An escape pod. Do-Hyun had seen pictures of them on the news ever since Earth joined the Galactic Trade Network 5 years ago. He grabbed the rifle from behind his seat, not because he wanted trouble, but because trouble had a way of finding him anyway. He approached slowly, boots crunching on the dry grass. The pod's door hung open, twisted and smoking. A figure stumbled out into the light. She was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered silver blue like moonlight on water. Her hair was long and white, falling past her shoulders in tangled waves. She wore what might have been expensive clothes once, but now they were torn and burned. Her eyes were large and golden, and they fixed on Do-Hyun with a mix of fear and pride. Behind her came 3 small shapes. Children. The oldest was a girl, maybe 8 years old, with the same silver-blue skin and frightened golden eyes. She held the hand of a younger boy about 5 who was crying softly. In the woman's arms was a baby, no more than 2 years old, with tears streaming down her tiny face. Do-Hyun lowered his rifle and raised his empty hand. "You hurt?" The woman stared at him. She seemed to be searching for words in a language that wasn't her own. "We no hurt. Ship broken, need communication device. Call family. Velthria Prime." Her accent was thick, each word carefully chosen. Do-Hyun glanced at the smoking wreckage behind her. Whatever communication device she had was now melted slag. "That ship's not calling anyone," he said simply. "You need help." The woman straightened her back, lifting her chin. "No, we wait here. Family comes soon." Do-Hyun looked at the children. The little boy was shivering despite the warm evening. The baby's cries were getting weaker, more desperate. The oldest girl was trying to be brave, but her legs were shaking. "How long since they ate?" Do-Hyun asked. The woman hesitated. 2 days. Maybe 3. Food ran out on cargo ship. We escape in pod. Pod has no food. 2 days. Do-Hyun shook his head. He looked at the woman, at her proud stance and frightened eyes, and made a decision. "Get in my truck right now." "No." The woman's voice was firm. "We stay. We wait for... Lady, I don't care what you're waiting for." Do-Hyun's voice was calm but hard as iron. "Those kids are hungry and cold. The sun's going down. Temperature drops to freezing out here at night. You can be proud tomorrow. Tonight those kids need shelter." The woman opened her mouth to argue, but the baby in her arms reached out toward Do-Hyun. The tiny hand stretched toward him, and a soft sound escaped the child's lips. Not quite a word, but close. The woman looked down at her baby, and something in her face cracked. I have no money. Cannot pay now. But family is wealthy." "When they find us, nobody's asking for money," Do-Hyun interrupted. He walked to his truck and opened the passenger door. "Get in, please." The woman stood frozen for a long moment. The oldest girl tugged on her mother's torn sleeve. "Mama, I'm cold, that did it." The woman's shoulders sagged. She walked to the truck, and Do-Hyun helped the children climb into the back seat. The oldest girl sat in the middle, holding her little brother close. The woman got in front with the baby still clutched tight to her chest. Do-Hyun started the engine and turned the truck toward home. Nobody spoke for a while. The only sounds were the rumble of the engine and the baby's quiet whimpering. "My name is Nari," the woman said finally. Her voice was softer now, tired. "These are my children, Bora, Taeyang, and Isul." She pointed to each child in turn. "Do-Hyun," he replied. "Do-Hyun Park. I run a cattle ranch about 10 minutes from here." "You are?" "Farmer?" Nari asked. "Rancher. Close enough, Nari looked out the window at the darkening landscape. "On Velthria, farmers are lower class. But you have vehicle. You have land. You must be important, farmer." Do-Hyun almost smiled. "I get by. Land's been in my family for 3 generations. It's not much, but it's mine. 3 generations." Nari's voice held something like respect. That is good. Family land is important. They drove in silence again. Do-hyun noticed Nari's hand kept moving to her pocket, touching something small hidden there. Whatever it was, she was very protective of it. The ranch house appeared in the distance, a simple 2-story building with a wraparound porch. Warm light glowed from the windows. To Nari, who had been running and hiding for weeks, it looked like the most beautiful thing in the galaxy. Do-hyun parked the truck and helped everyone out. Little Taeyang was so tired he could barely walk. Do-hyun picked him up without asking, and the boy's head dropped onto his shoulder immediately. "Come on," Do-hyun said to the others. "Let's get you all fed and warm." As they walked to the house, Bora slipped her hand into Do-hyun's free one. She didn't say anything, but she held on tight. Behind them, Nari watched this simple act of trust, and tears filled her golden eyes. She had been married to one of the most powerful men on Velthria Prime. She had lived in a floating palace made of crystal and light. She had commanded servants and attended parties where a single glass of wine cost more than this entire ranch. But in all those years, she had never felt as safe as she did right now, walking toward a simple farmhouse behind a quiet human who asked for nothing in return. In her pocket, the small data chip felt heavy. The information stored on it could start a war or save millions of lives. Men were hunting for it. Men would kill her and her children to get it. But tonight, just for tonight, Nari allowed herself to forget about the chip, about the danger, about everything except the warmth of the house ahead and the strange, gentle human who had said those simple words. "Get in my truck right now," not a request, not a demand. Just a statement of what needed to happen, delivered by someone who saw children in need and refused to look away. As they stepped onto the porch, baby Isil finally stopped crying. The little girl looked up at Do-hyun and smiled. Nari sat at the kitchen table, watching Do-hyun move around the small room with practiced ease. He heated up soup on the stove, sliced bread, and poured milk for the children. His movements were efficient and calm, like someone who had done this 1,000 times before. The children ate like they were starving because they were. Bora tried to eat slowly and politely, but hunger won over manners. Taeyang stuffed bread into his mouth with both hands. Even baby Isil grabbed at the soft bread pieces Do-hyun had torn up for her, making happy sounds with each bite. Nari forced herself to eat slowly, even though her stomach felt like an empty cave. She had been raised to maintain dignity at all times, especially in front of others. But the soup was warm and good, and she found herself finishing the entire bowl without meaning to. When everyone was done, Do-hyun stood up. "I'll show you where you can sleep. I've got a spare bedroom for the kids, and you can take the other room upstairs." "You are very kind," Nari said quietly. "I will repay you when my family—" "Nobody's counting," Do-hyun interrupted gently. "Come on, you all look like you're about to fall over." He led them upstairs. The spare bedroom had 2 twin beds and a small crib that looked old but sturdy. Do-hyun pulled out fresh sheets from a closet and started making up the beds. "I can do that," Nari said quickly. "You have done enough." Do-hyun glanced at her. "You know how to make a bed?" Nari opened her mouth to say yes, then closed it. On Velthria, servants had always made the beds. She had never learned. The shame of it burned in her chest. "I will learn," she said instead. Something shifted in Do-hyun's expression. Something like understanding. "Watch then. It's not complicated." He showed her how to tuck the corners, how to smooth out the wrinkles, how to fluff the pillows. Nari watched carefully, memorizing each step. When he moved to the second bed, she stopped him. "Let me try." Her first attempt was clumsy. The corners wouldn't stay tucked and the blanket was crooked. But Do-hyun nodded. "Good enough. You'll get better with practice." After the children were settled in their beds, Do-hyun showed Nari to the other room. He opened the door and stopped, his hand on the doorknob. For a moment he didn't move. "This was my daughter's room," he said quietly. She's gone now. My wife too. 3 years ago." Nari looked into the room. It was frozen in time. Posters on the walls. Books on shelves. A hairbrush still sitting on the dresser. Photos in frames showing a smiling girl with dark hair and a woman with kind eyes. "I am sorry," Nari whispered. "I should not take this room. I can sleep with the children." "No." Do-hyun shook his head. "The room should be used. They would have wanted that." He pointed to the bathroom down the hall. "Clean towels are in the cabinet. If you need anything, my room is downstairs." He left before she could respond. Nari stepped into the room and closed the door behind her. She stood there for a long moment, looking at the photos of Do-hyun's lost family. The wife's name had been Hana, according to a photo inscription. The daughter's name was Minji. Nari sat on the bed and finally, for the first time in 3 months, let herself cry. Not quiet tears, but deep sobs that shook her whole body. She cried for everything she had lost. She cried for the danger her children were in. She cried for the man downstairs who had lost his entire family and still found room in his heart to help strangers. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the data chip. It was smaller than her thumb, made of crystal and metal. Inside it was information that could destroy governments and save millions of lives. It was also the reason her husband wanted her dead. 3 months ago, Nari had been living in paradise. Her husband Jaewon was a trade minister for Velthria Prime, managing shipping routes between 15 different star systems. They lived in a floating palace made of crystal that caught the light of 3 suns. Their children went to the finest schools. They had everything. Then Nari found the files. She had been looking for a family photo on Jaewon's computer when she stumbled across encrypted folders. Being curious and not understanding why her husband would hide anything from her, she used his birthday as the password. It worked. What she found made her blood run cold. Jaewon wasn't just managing trade routes. He was selling information to the Krexith, a militant insect-like species that hated humans. The files showed locations of 12 human colony worlds, places where families lived without heavy defenses. The Krexith were planning to attack them all at once, killing millions of people, and Jaewon would profit from every death. Nari had confronted him that same night. She expected him to deny it or to have some explanation. Instead, he laughed. "You think I married you for love?" Jaewon had said, his voice cold. "You were a political connection, nothing more. Your family's name opened doors for me. That's all you ever were." When Nari threatened to tell the authorities, Jaewon's expression changed. He told her that if she said anything, he would kill her and the children. Make it look like an accident. He had done it before to others who got in his way. That night, while Jaewon slept, Nari copied the files onto the data chip. She woke the children, grabbed what little she could carry, and ran. She bribed her way onto a cargo ship heading toward human space, hoping to find someone in Earth's government who would listen. The ship was attacked by Krexith hunters 2 days from Earth. The captain had given Nari and the children the only escape pod, sacrificing himself and his crew to give them time to launch. The pod had barely made it to Earth's atmosphere before its systems failed. And now here she was, in a dead girl's bedroom in a simple farmhouse, with a human rancher who asked for nothing. Nari heard a sound from the children's room. She wiped her eyes and went to check. Bora was sitting up in bed, breathing fast, her eyes wide with fear. "Nightmare?" Nari whispered in their own language. Bora nodded. "Papa found us. He was going to hurt Taeyang. Shh, we are safe here. That was just a dream." "For how long, Mama? How long until Papa finds us again?" Nari had no answer to that. She sat on the bed and held her daughter close. A soft knock on the door made them both jump. Do-hyun stood in the doorway holding a glass of water. Heard someone moving around. Thought she might be thirsty. He spoke in perfect Velthrian, his accent almost flawless. Nari stared at him in shock. "You speak our language?" "Learned it for trade negotiations a few years back. Figured it was polite." He handed the glass to Bora, who took it with trembling hands. Then he sat down on the floor, his back against the wall. "Bad dreams?" Bora nodded, not speaking. "Yeah, I get those too sometimes," Do-hyun said simply. "They're lousy, but they're just dreams. Out here you're safe. How do you know?" Bora whispered. Do-hyun met her eyes. "Because I won't let anything happen to you. That's a promise." There was something in his voice, something solid and unshakable that made Bora believe him. She drank her water and lay back down, and this time when she closed her eyes, she didn't see her father's angry face. She saw Do-hyun's calm one instead. After Bora fell back asleep, Nari followed Do-hyun into the hallway. "Thank you," she said, "for everything. But you should know we are in danger." "My husband, tomorrow," Do-hyun said. "Tell me tomorrow. Tonight, just rest. Whatever trouble you're running from, it can wait until morning." He was wrong about that, but Nari didn't argue. She went back to Minji's room and lay down on the bed. And for the first time in months, she felt almost safe. Outside, 50 miles up in the atmosphere, a Krexith scout ship went silent. Its sensors had detected Velthrian life signs on the surface. The hunter had found its prey. 2 weeks passed like a strange dream. Nari woke up each morning in Minji's room, still surprised to find herself on Earth, in a rancher's house, far from everything she had ever known. The morning after her first night, she had tried to tell Do-hyun about the danger. He listened to everything, his face showing no emotion. When she finished, he simply nodded and said, "Then we'll deal with it when it comes. For now, you need to eat breakfast." His calm acceptance confused her. On Velthria, people panicked at the smallest problems. Here was a human who learned that alien assassins might come to his home, and he just made pancakes. Nari insisted on working to earn her keep. Do-hyun tried to tell her it wasn't necessary, but she wouldn't listen. She had spent her whole life being served by others. Now she would learn to be useful. That first morning, Do-hyun took her to the cattle fence that needed mending. He showed her how to use the tools, how to dig post holes, how to stretch the wire tight. Nari watched carefully, then tried to copy his movements. It was harder than it looked. Much harder. The tools were heavy. The wire cut her hands. The post wouldn't go straight no matter how hard she tried. Within an hour, her elegant silver-blue hands were covered in blisters and dirt. "You can stop," Do-hyun said, not unkindly. "This isn't your kind of work." "No." Nari's voice was firm. "Show me again," so he did. And she tried again, and failed again. But she didn't quit. By the end of that first day, Nari had helped fix 20 feet of fence. Her hands were bleeding, her back ached, and she could barely stand. But when Do-hyun nodded and said, "Good work," she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Real pride. Not the fake kind that came from wearing expensive clothes or attending important parties. The children adapted faster than Nari expected. Bora helped feed the chickens each morning. She was careful and gentle, and the birds seemed to like her. Taeyang collected eggs, though he broke a few at first. Baby Isel laughed and clapped her hands whenever Do-hyun's old ranch dog Buddy came near. In the evenings, they all sat together. Nari taught the children Velthrian history and mathematics while Do-hyun cooked dinner. Sometimes he would join in, asking questions about their culture. Other times he would tell stories about Earth, about human history, about the ranch. One night, Nari asked him a question that had been bothering her. "Why do you help us? On Velthria, people only help others if they gain something in return. But you ask for nothing." Do-hyun thought about this while he stirred the pot on the stove. "On Earth, we have a saying. We measure worth by what you do, not what you were born into. You and your kids needed help. I could give it. That's all the reason I need. But we are aliens. We are not your people." "Your people," Do-hyun said simply. "That's enough." Nari looked at him for a long moment. Everything she had been taught about humans being primitive and emotional seemed wrong. This man was neither. He was something better. He was kind. On the 15th day, a government vehicle pulled up to the ranch. A man in a military uniform stepped out, tall and confident with sharp eyes. Do-hyun met him at the porch. "Mr. Park, I'm Lieutenant Dae-hoon Kim from Earth Defense. We're investigating reports of unusual aircraft in this area about 2 weeks ago. Did you see anything?" Do-hyun's face showed nothing. "Can't say I did." "What kind of aircraft?" "That's classified. But if you do remember seeing anything, it's your duty as a citizen to report it." "I'll keep that in mind." Dae-hoon's eyes swept over the ranch. "You live alone out here?" "That's right. Must get lonely. I like the quiet." Dae-hoon smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Well, if you remember anything, give us a call." He handed Do-hyun a card and left. After the vehicle disappeared down the road, Nari came out from where she had been hiding in the barn with the children. "You lied for us," she said. "Why?" "Because I looked into his eyes and saw ambition, not justice. He wants to use you for something. You're safer here. He will come back. When he finds out the truth, then we'll deal with it," Do-hyun said. "Same as everything else." That night, Nari couldn't sleep. She stood by the window, looking out at the dark fields. In the distance, she saw lights. Not stars. These lights moved wrong, too fast and too purposeful. Ships, small ones, staying low. The Krexith were here. The next morning, Do-hyun drove into town for supplies. He came back looking troubled. "People in town are talking," he said. "Strange folks asking questions about aliens. Tall, wearing heavy coats even in the heat. Sound familiar?" Nari's blood ran cold. Krexith looked like giant insects, but they could wear disguises when they needed to blend in. "They are hunting us. How long do we have?" "I do not know. Days, maybe. Maybe less," Do-hyun nodded slowly. Then we need a plan. That evening, after the children were asleep, Nari finally showed Do-hyun the data chip. She explained everything it contained. The locations of the human colonies, the attack dates, the names of every Velthrian and human who was part of the conspiracy. Do-hyun held the tiny chip up to the light. This information could save millions of people. Yes, but if we send it, everyone will know where we are. J1 will come. The Krexith will come. Maybe others. Your home will become a battlefield. It's already going to be a battlefield, Do-hyun said. Those Krexith scouts aren't here to talk. At least if we send the data, those millions of people get a chance. You would risk your life for humans you will never meet, wouldn't you? Nari realized she would. 3 months ago, she would have saved herself and her children without a second thought. But now, after living here, after learning what it meant to work hard and help others, she understood. Some things were worth fighting for, even if you never saw the results. There is more, she said quietly. The first attack is in 3 days. A colony world called New Seoul, 40,000 people. Half of them are children. Do-hyun stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at his ranch, at the land his family had worked for 3 generations. Then he turned back to Nari. I have friends, people I trust. Let me make some calls. He picked up his old phone and dialed a number. Young-soo. It's Do-hyun. Yeah, I know it's been a while. Listen, remember that favor you said you owed me? I'm calling it in. Get Hee-jin and come to the ranch now, and Young-soo, bring weapons. After he hung up, Nari asked, Who is Young-soo? My oldest friend. Retired colonel from Earth Defense. He and his partner Hye-jin live off the grid about 50 miles from here. If anyone can help us, they can. And if they cannot, Do-hyun met her eyes. Then we fight anyway. 2 hours later, an old military truck pulled up to the ranch. A man in his 60s climbed out, lean and tough like old leather. Behind him came a younger woman with sharp eyes and quick movements. Do-hyun, you crazy fool, Young-soo said. What have you gotten yourself into? By midnight, they had a plan. Hee-jin examined the data chip with equipment she had brought. It's real, she confirmed. This is detailed fleet movements, communication codes, everything. If we broadcast this, the Galactic Council will have to act. But it will tell everyone where we are, Nari said. They already know, Young-soo replied grimly. Those scouts have been circling the area for days. They're just waiting for orders to attack. Then we broadcast it, Do-hyun said. We save those 40,000 people on New Seoul and we deal with whatever comes after. Nari looked at her children, sleeping peacefully upstairs. She thought about Bora's nightmares, about Taeyang's laughter when he collected eggs, about baby Seoul's smile. Then she thought about 40,000 other children, children she would never meet who were about to die. Do it, she said. Hye-jin's fingers flew across her keyboard. Broadcasting on all channels in 3, 2, 1. The data uploaded in seconds. Within minutes, it would reach Earth Defense, the Galactic Council, and every major news network in known space. They sat in silence, waiting. Then Young-soo's scanner beeped urgently. 6 ships just broke atmosphere, he said quietly. Krexith assault class. They're heading straight for us. 20 minutes out, maybe less. Do-hyun stood up. Then we have 20 minutes to get ready. The kitchen became a war room. Young-soo spread a map of the ranch across the table, while Hye-jin worked on her computers. Nari stood against the wall, her arms wrapped around herself, watching these humans prepare for battle like it was just another day's work. We need to get the children away from here, she said. I can take them and run. You do not have to fight for us. Do-hyun looked up from the map. Running didn't save you before. Fighting might. But this is not your fight. This is about my husband's crimes. About Velthrian politics. Why should humans die for that? Because 40 million humans would have died if we did nothing, Young-soo said flatly. That data you had shows 12 colony worlds. New Seoul is just the first. The Krexith were going to hit them all in the same week. No warnings, no mercy. Just death. Nari felt sick. She had known about New Seoul, but she hadn't read all the files. 12 worlds. 40 million people. Her husband had been willing to let all of them die for profit. The broadcast went out 10 minutes ago, Hye-jin said, her eyes on her screens. Earth Defense confirmed receipt. They're scrambling fleets to the colony worlds now. The Galactic Council is in emergency session, and... She paused, her face going pale. The news networks are running with it. Everyone knows. Names, faces, everything. Your husband has been arrested. So have 8 other Velthrian ministers and 4 human corporate executives. Good, Nari whispered. But now they know where I am. Everyone knows where you are, Hyejin confirmed. The Krexith ships changed course as soon as the broadcast went out. They're coming in fast and angry. Do-Yun pulled a heavy ring of keys from his pocket. Come with me, all of you. He led them outside to what looked like an old storm cellar near the barn. But when he opened the doors, Nari saw stairs going down much farther than they should. At the bottom was a metal door with an electronic lock. What is this? Nari asked. Cold War bunker from the 1960s, Do-Hyun said, punching in a code. Humans built thousands of them back when we thought we might nuke ourselves into extinction. Most were abandoned, but this ranch sits right on top of one. I bought the property specifically because of it. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a room full of equipment that looked old but functional. Weapons lined one wall. Boxes of ammunition were stacked in corners. Computer equipment that had been recently updated hummed quietly. Young-Soo let out a low whistle. You crazy paranoid fool. How long have you been preparing this? Since the day my wife and daughter died, Do-Hyun said quietly. Car accident on the highway. Drunk driver. I couldn't save them because I wasn't there. I decided I'd never be unprepared again. He pulled a plasma rifle from the wall. These are military surplus. Bought them legally at auction. The government was happy to get rid of old equipment. You are either insane or brilliant, Nari said. I'm a rancher, Do-Hyun replied. We prepare for droughts. They spent the next 10 minutes hauling equipment up to the house. Portable shields, weapons, ammunition, medical supplies. Do-Hyun moved with practiced efficiency, like he had rehearsed this scenario 100 times in his head. Nari, can you shoot? Young-Soo asked. She shook her head. I have never held a weapon in my life. Then your job is to protect the kids. Take them to the bunker and seal the door. No matter what happens up here, you stay down there until either we come get you or Earth Defense arrives. How long until they get here? Nari asked. Hyejin checked her computer. Earth Defense confirmed they're sending fighters. 20 minutes out? And the Krexith? 10 minutes out. Maybe less. Do-Hyun turned to Nari. Get the children. Wake them up. Take them down to the bunker now. Nari ran to the house. She woke Bora first, putting a hand over her daughter's mouth before she could cry out. We must go now, quietly. Bora understood immediately. She helped gather Taeyang and baby Isul. Within 2 minutes, all 3 children were being carried down the bunker stairs. Nari looked back at the house one last time. Do-Hyun stood on the porch, a rifle in his hands, looking out at the dark fields. He seemed so calm, so ready, like he had been waiting for this moment his whole life. Please do not die, Nari called to him. He looked back at her and smiled. I'll do my best. Keep them safe. I will. I know you will. Then she was in the bunker with the children, and the heavy metal door was sealing shut above them. Emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in a dim red glow. The children huddled together on an old military cot. Bora held Taeyang close while baby Isul clung to her mother. Mama, what is happening? Bora whispered. Bad people are coming, but Do-Hyun and his friends will stop them. Will Do-Hyun be okay? Nari thought about lying, about giving false comfort, but Bora deserved the truth. I do not know. But he is strong and brave. If anyone can survive this, he can. Above ground, Do-Hyun, Young-Soo, and Hyejin were turning the ranch into a fortress. Young-Soo had military training, and he used it now, directing them to create kill zones and defensive positions. Krexith fight in squads of 10, he explained. They're strong, well-armored, and they don't retreat. But they're also predictable. They follow doctrine. We can use that. What's the doctrine? Do-Hyun asked. Overwhelming force. They'll land 3 ships, deploy 30 warriors, and try to surround the house. They'll expect us to run or surrender. And when we don't, then they'll learn why humans are dangerous. Hyejin set up motion sensors around the property. If anything bigger than a rabbit moves out there, we'll know about it. Do-Hyun looked at the ranch he had built his life around. The house his grandfather had constructed. The barn where his daughter had played. The fields where his wife had planted flowers. All of it was about to become a battlefield. I'm sorry about your ranch, Young-Soo said quietly. This is going to get messy. It's just wood and stone, Do-Hyun replied. I can rebuild that. I can't rebuild those kids if something happens to them. The motion sensors began to beep. 3 heat signatures dropping from the sky fast. The Krexith were landing. Hyejin counted down. Touchdown in 3, 2, 1. 3 ships hit the ground hard, crushing Do-Hyun's cattle fence and scorching the earth. Ramps dropped and warriors began to emerge. They were 7 feet tall. covered in black armor that gleamed in the moonlight. They moved like insects, quick and precise. Do-hyun counted 30 of them, just like Young-soo predicted. They spread out in a perfect formation surrounding the house. "Remember," Young-soo whispered, "don't shoot until I give the signal. Let them get close." The Krexith advanced slowly, their weapons raised. They seemed confident, almost casual. Why wouldn't they be? They were elite warriors hunting a rancher and 2 retired humans. They had no idea what they were walking into. When the first Krexith stepped on the buried sensor, Hyejin hit a button. The irrigation system activated, but instead of water, electricity surged through the metal pipes. 6 Krexith convulsed and dropped, their armor shorting out. The rest of the squad reacted instantly, firing at the house, but Do-hyun had reinforced the walls with the portable shields from the bunker. The plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against the energy barriers. "Now," Young-soo shouted. 3 humans opened fire. The battle for the ranch had begun, and the Krexith were about to learn a hard lesson. When humans have something to protect, they don't know how to quit. In the bunker, Nari heard the explosions and plasma fire. She held her children close and prayed to God she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Please, she thought, please let him survive. Let them all survive. Above her, Do-hyun Park was doing exactly what he had promised. He was fighting for them, fighting like only a human could with everything he had, refusing to accept that the odds were impossible. Because on Earth, impossible just meant you had to try harder. The battle turned the peaceful ranch into chaos. Plasma fire lit up the night like deadly lightning. The Krexith warriors moved with insect precision, coordinating their attacks with clicking sounds that echoed across the fields. But Do-hyun, Young-soo, and Hyejin weren't fighting fair. They had turned every part of the ranch into a weapon. The barn that looked old and simple. It had reinforced positions on the second floor where Young-soo picked off Krexith warriors with careful shots. The cattle trenches that seemed like normal ranch features, they were perfect defensive positions, giving Do-hyun cover while he moved between firing points. 3 more Krexith fell to Young-soo's rifle. The rest adapted quickly, spreading out to avoid giving him easy targets. They started using the natural terrain for cover, moving from rock to rock, getting closer to the house. "They are learning," Hyejin said from her position near the house. "That is not good. Then we teach them something new," Do-hyun replied. He triggered another trap. The old tractor sitting near the barn exploded, sending burning fuel and shrapnel in all directions. 4 Krexith were caught in the blast. They didn't get back up. The Krexith commander, a massive warrior with red markings on his armor, let out a shrieking sound. The remaining warriors changed tactics, rushing the house all at once. "Here they come," Young-soo shouted. Plasma bolts hammered the shields protecting the house. The energy barriers flickered and sparked under the assault. Do-hyun knew they wouldn't hold much longer. "Hyejin, how long until Earth defense arrives?" 10 minutes, she shouted back over the noise of weapons fire. "We just need to hold for 10 minutes. A Krexith warrior made it to the porch. Do-hyun met him there, his rifle empty. The warrior was huge, covered in black armor with mandibles clicking in what might have been laughter. It raised its plasma weapon. Do-hyun dove aside as the shot scorched the wood where he had been standing. He grabbed a pitchfork leaning against the wall and thrust it upward, finding a gap between the armor plates. The warrior screamed, a high-pitched sound like metal scraping metal. They fought hand to hand. The Krexith was stronger, but Do-hyun was desperate. He used everything he could reach as a weapon. The pitchfork, his fists, a board torn from the porch railing. When the warrior knocked him down, Do-hyun grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it at the gaps in the armor. The warrior stumbled backward, clawing at its face. Do-hyun picked up a heavy wrench from his toolbox and hit the warrior in the head 3 times. Hard. The warrior dropped. Do-hyun stood there breathing hard, blood running from his nose. "Stay off my porch." More warriors were coming, too many. The shields around the house failed completely, and plasma fire began hitting the walls directly. "Wood smoked and burned. We cannot hold them," Hyejin yelled. "There are too many." In the bunker, Nari heard the battle getting worse. She heard the explosions, the weapons fire, the screams. Her children were crying, terrified by the sounds. Then she heard something else, a human voice shouting in pain. Do-hyun's voice. Nari made a decision. She couldn't hide while he fought for her family. That wasn't who she was anymore. She wasn't the pampered noble who let others do things for her. She was someone different now. Someone who could fight. Bora, she said firmly. Take your brother and sister to the back of the bunker. Lock the inner door. Do not open it for anyone except me or Do-hyun. Do you understand? Mama, no, do you understand? Bora nodded, tears streaming down her face. She gathered Taeyang and baby Asol and moved to the back of the bunker. Nari grabbed one of the spare plasma rifles from the weapons rack. She had never fired a gun in her life, but she had watched the safety demonstrations on the bunker wall. Red button to charge, blue trigger to fire. Simple enough. She opened the bunker door and ran toward the battle. On the porch, Do-hyun was down. A Krexith warrior stood over him, its weapon pointed at his chest. The warrior was speaking in its clicking language, probably saying something about human weakness. Then Nari shot it in the back. The plasma bolt went wide, hitting the warrior's shoulder instead of center mass, but it was enough. The warrior spun around and Do-hyun used that moment to sweep its legs. The warrior fell and Young-soo put a bullet through its head from the barn. What are you doing up here? Do-hyun shouted at Nari. Get back to the bunker. No. Nari moved to stand beside him. You are fighting for my children. I will not hide while you die for us. You cannot fight. You do not know how. Then I will learn. She fired again at another approaching warrior. This time her shot hit center mass. The warrior staggered but kept coming. She fired 3 more times until it finally fell. Do-hyun looked at her. This elegant alien woman who had never worked a day in her life until 2 weeks ago, now standing on his bullet-riddled porch with a rifle in her bleeding hands. Stay behind cover, he said, and keep shooting. They fought side by side. Nari's aim got better with each shot. She learned to lead moving targets, to aim for the gaps in armor, to not waste ammunition. Every noble lesson she had ever learned about grace and dignity was forgotten. There was only the fight, only survival, only protecting the children below. The Krexith commander watched the battle from a distance. This was not going as planned. His warriors were dying to humans, inferior, primitive humans. It was unacceptable. He decided to end this himself. The commander was larger than the other warriors, his armor more advanced. He strode toward the house, ignoring the weapons fire that bounced off his shields. Human, he shouted in broken English. I am Commander Vrextok. I challenge you to single combat. If you refuse, you die as a coward. Do-hyun lowered his rifle. If I fight you, you leave the woman and children alone? If you win, yes. But you will not win. No human can defeat Vrextok. Young-soo grabbed Do-hyun's arm. Don't do this. It's a trap. Maybe. But it buys time. Do-hyun looked at his watch. 5 more minutes until Earth defense arrives. I just need to last 5 minutes. He walked out to meet the Krexith commander. They stood 10 feet apart. Vrextok towered over Do-hyun by more than a foot. His armor was battle-scarred and decorated with marks of past victories. You are the one who harbors the traitor, Vrextok asked. She's not a traitor. She's a mother protecting her kids. She stole information that belongs to greater powers. For this, she must die. Her children must die. And you, human, must die. Come and try, they fought. It wasn't close. Vrextok was stronger, faster, and better trained. He beat Do-hyun down again and again. Broke his ribs, split his lip. Knocked out a tooth, but Do-hyun kept getting up. Why do you not stay down? Vrextok screamed. You cannot win. Accept defeat. Do-hyun spit blood. Humans don't quit. We're too stupid to know when we are beaten. He was losing badly, barely able to stand. His vision was blurry. His whole body screamed in pain. But he noticed something. Vrextok liked to talk. Liked to stand over his opponents and give speeches about how great he was. Right now, Vrextok was doing exactly that. Standing over Do-hyun, going on about human weakness and Krexith superiority. You see, Vrextok said, this is why humans will always be inferior. You fight with emotion, with pride. Real warriors fight with... Do-hyun triggered the explosive charge he had been lying on top of. The blast threw both of them backward. Vrextok's armor absorbed most of it, but the impact stunned him. Do-hyun, who was farther from the center of the blast, rolled to his feet. He grabbed a piece of the broken fence post and drove it through the gap in Vrextok's armor that the explosion had created. The great commander fell. The remaining Krexith warriors saw their leader die and did something unexpected. They retreated, ran for their ships. Within seconds, the 3 ships were lifting off, leaving their dead behind. The sudden silence was almost as loud as the battle had been. Then everyone heard it. The sound of Earth defense fighters breaking through the clouds. 6 sleek ships circled the ranch, their weapons locked on the fleeing Krexith vessels. The alien ships were destroyed before they cleared the atmosphere. Do-hyun collapsed. Nari ran to him, dropping her rifle. Stay awake. Help is coming! Did we win? Yes, we won. You won? Good. He smiled through bloody teeth. Get the kids. Make sure they are okay. They are safe. You saved them. You saved all of us. Earth defense medics landed minutes later. They rushed to Do-hyun first, scanning him with medical equipment. Broken ribs, concussion, internal bleeding. But nothing that human medicine couldn't fix. As they loaded him onto a stretcher, Do-hyun grabbed Nari's hand. Your children. They are safe? Because of you, Nari said, tears streaming down her face. All because of you. He squeezed her hand once, then passed out as the painkillers kicked in. The medics carried him to their ship, and Nari watched until he disappeared from sight. Then she went to get her children from the bunker. 3 days passed in a blur. Do-hyun woke up in a hospital bed with white walls and the smell of antiseptic. His entire body ached, but the sharp pain was gone. Human medical technology had fixed most of the damage. Nari sat in a chair beside his bed. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept since the battle. When she saw his eyes open, relief flooded her face. You are awake, she said softly. How long was I out? 3 days. The doctor said you were lucky. Your injuries could have killed you. Do-hyun tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Everything hurt. The kids? Safe. They are staying with Youngsu and Hyejin. Bora asks about you every hour. And the ranch? Nari looked down. Damaged. The house can be repaired, but the barn is gone. Many of your fences are destroyed. I am sorry. Your home was hurt because of us. It's just wood and metal, Do-hyun said. It can be rebuilt. He looked at her carefully. What else? Something's bothering you. She hesitated, then pulled out a data pad. The galaxy has gone insane. Your fight was broadcast on every news channel. Someone recorded it from orbit. The whole galaxy watched a human rancher defeat a Krexith commander in hand-to-hand combat. I got lucky. No, you were brave and clever. The galaxy sees that now. She showed him the data pad. Headlines scrolled past in a dozen different languages. Humans defeat Krexith elite warriors. 1 rancher holds off 30. Earth's unlikely hero. I'm not a hero. I was just protecting my home. That is exactly why they call you a hero. Nari scrolled through more news. The data I gave you has caused the biggest political crisis in galactic history. J1 is in prison. 8 other Velthrian ministers have been arrested. 4 human business executives are being charged with treason. The Krexith home government is denying everything, but their fleets are being pushed back from all human territory. Good. Those 40 million people on the colony worlds are safe? Yes. Earth defense arrived at New Sol hours before the Krexith attack was supposed to happen. The enemy fleet retreated without a fight when they saw the defenses waiting for them. Do-hyun closed his eyes. Then it was worth it. The door to his room opened and 2 people walked in. One was a Velthrian male in official robes, older and distinguished looking. The other was a human woman in a military uniform with the rank of general on her shoulders. Mr. Park, the woman said. I'm General Soman Park, Earth Defense. This is Counselor Seojun of the Velthrian Reform Council. Do-hyun tried to sit up straighter. Nari helped him adjust the bed. We've come with an offer, General Soman continued. The Galactic Council wants to create a new position. Ambassador of Human-Alien Relations, specifically focusing on refugee integration and cultural exchange. They want you for the job. Do-hyun stared at them. You're joking. I assure you we are not, Counselor Seojun said. His voice was formal but kind. The galaxy has watched you risk everything to protect an alien family. You fought with courage and won with honor. You are exactly what we need to bridge the gap between species. I'm a rancher. I don't know anything about politics or diplomacy. You know about doing the right thing, General Soman said. That's more important than any training. The position comes with full government support, housing, staff, and a salary that would let you rebuild your ranch 10 times over. Do-hyun shook his head. I appreciate the offer, but no. I'm not a politician. I'm not some symbol for people to point at. I'm just a rancher who did what anyone should do. The 2 officials exchanged glances. We understand, General Soman said. The offer remains open if you change your mind. After they left, Nari was quiet for a long time. "You should have taken it," she finally said. "That job could have changed your life. My life is fine the way it is. Your ranch is destroyed. You have no money to rebuild. That salary could have—" I said no. Do-hyun's voice was firm. "I didn't do this for rewards or recognition. I did it because it was right. Taking a job like that would make it seem like I helped you to get something out of it. I won't do that." Nari looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, really smiled, for the first time since the battle. "You are a strange man, Do-hyun Park. I've been told that before." That afternoon, another visitor came. This time it was Counselor Seo-jun alone. He carried an official-looking envelope. "Mrs. Nari," he said formally, "I bring news from Velthria. Your husband Jae-won has been found guilty of treason, conspiracy, and attempted murder. His assets have been seized by the government. However, your family's wealth, which predates your marriage, has been restored to you. You are once again a citizen in good standing." Nari took the envelope with trembling hands. "What about my children?" "They are welcome to return to Velthria. The council has arranged for their education at the finest academy. Full scholarships, security, everything they need." He paused. "There is one condition. You must testify at the trials of the other conspirators. It will be dangerous. Many powerful people want you dead, but it is necessary to bring them all to justice." "When must I return?" "Immediately. The first trial begins in 1 week." Nari looked at Do-hyun, still lying in the hospital bed. "Can I have time to think about it?" "Of course. But the transport leaves tomorrow evening. If you are not on it, the offer may not come again." After the counselor left, Nari sat with her head in her hands. "I do not know what to do." "You should go," Do-hyun said quietly. "Your children deserve a good education. They deserve to be safe. On Velthria, they can have that. But the danger, you're strong enough to face it. You proved that when you picked up a rifle and fought beside me. You can do this, and what about you? Your ranch is destroyed. You are injured. I cannot just leave you. I'll be fine. I've rebuilt before. I can do it again." That evening, Nari went to see her children at Young-soo's house. She sat them down and explained everything. They were going back to Velthria. They would go to a real school. They would be safe. Bora started crying. "I don't want to leave Uncle Do-hyun." "I know, sweetie. But this is what's best." "No, it's not," Bora shouted. "Best is staying here. This is home now." Even little Taeyang looked unhappy. "Don't want to go." Baby Yusul just clung to Nari and cried. That night, Nari packed what few belongings they had. The children's toys, some clothes, the data pad with photos of the ranch. It wasn't much. Everything valuable she had owned on Velthria seemed worthless now. The next morning, she went to say goodbye to Do-hyun. He was being discharged from the hospital, moving slowly but able to walk. "So this is it," he said. "Yes. The transport leaves in 6 hours." They stood there not knowing what to say. Everything Nari wanted to tell him seemed too big for words. "Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for teaching me to be strong. Thank you for showing me what real kindness looks like." Instead, she just said, "I will never forget you. Take care of those kids. I will." Bora ran up and hugged Do-hyun around the waist. Taeyang gave him his favorite toy, a small model starship. Baby Yusul reached for him one last time, and he held her briefly before giving her back to Nari. Then they were gone. Do-hyun stood outside the hospital and watched the transport vehicle disappear down the road. Young-soo came to stand beside him. "You could have asked her to stay," his friend said. "She needs to do this. For herself and for her kids. And what about what you need?" Do-hyun didn't answer. He just stood there until the vehicle was completely out of sight. 2 months passed. Do-hyun returned to his ranch and began rebuilding. The government had given him compensation for the damage, enough to repair the house and barn. Neighbors came to help. Word had spread about what he had done and people wanted to show their support, but the house felt empty. No children laughing, no Nari learning how to make beds or fix fences, just silence. One evening, as Do-hyun sat on his repaired porch watching the sunset, a holographic message appeared in his comm device. It was marked urgent from Velthria Prime. He opened it, expecting some kind of official government message. Instead, Nari's face appeared, flickering in blue light. "Do-hyun," she said, "I hope this message finds you well. I need to ask you something. Something important." Behind her, he could see ranks of Velthrian families, hundreds of them. Adults, children, elderly, all looking lost and scared. My testimony exposed not just the conspiracy but years of corruption. Thousands of families have lost everything: their homes, their money, their positions. Other worlds are refusing to take them. They say Velthrians cannot be trusted. Her voice shook. These people have nowhere to go. They need help. They need someone who can teach them to survive without servants, without wealth, without the things they always depended on. She looked directly at him, and he saw tears in her golden eyes. You taught me that home is not where you are from. It is where you are valued. These people need a home. They need you. I need you. Will you help us? Do-hyun stood in front of the Earth Planetary Council, feeling completely out of place. He wore his best clothes, which meant clean jeans and a button-up shirt. Around him sat politicians in expensive suits, representatives from 100 different nations, all staring at him like he was crazy. Let me make sure I understand, the council president said. You want Earth to accept 300,000 Velthrian refugees. You want us to open our borders to aliens who, by your own admission, have no practical skills and come from a culture that looks down on manual labor. Yes, ma'am, Do-hyun said simply. And you think we should do this because they need help and we can give it? The room erupted in argument. Some representatives shouted that it was too dangerous. Others worried about the economic impact. A few demanded to know why Earth should help aliens when Earth had its own problems. Do-hyun waited for them to quiet down. Then he spoke again, his voice calm but carrying. I'm just a rancher from Montana. I don't know much about politics or economics, but I know this. We measure ourselves by what we do when nobody is watching. When those Krexith came to my ranch, I could have hidden. I could have let them take Nari and her kids. It would have been easier, safer. But I didn't because that's not who we are as humans. He paused, looking around the room. Right now, the galaxy is watching us again. They want to see what Earth does. Do we help people who need it? Or do we turn them away because it's inconvenient? 300,000 families lost everything because of corruption and greed. They didn't ask for this. They're just trying to survive. If we say no, what does that make us? It makes us practical, someone shouted from the back. No, Do-hyun replied. It makes us the same as the people who created this mess in the first place. People who only help others when there's profit in it. The council president leaned forward. Mr. Park, even if we wanted to help, where would we put 300,000 refugees? How would we feed them? House them? Teach them to survive on a planet that's nothing like their home world? My ranch has room for 4 more, Do-hyun said. Maybe my neighbors have room too. Maybe if we all made space, we'd find there's enough room for everyone. He pulled up a holographic display. I'm not asking the government to do everything. I'm asking for permission to try. Let me bring some of these families to Montana. Let me show them how to work, how to build, how to stand on their own feet. If it works, others might follow. If it doesn't, at least we tried. The council debated for 3 hours. In the end, they agreed to a trial program. 1,000 families would be allowed to come to Earth, settling in rural areas where there was land and work. Do-hyun would oversee the first group in Montana. Don't make us regret this, the council president warned. I won't, Do-hyun promised. 2 weeks later, the first transport ships landed near Do-hyun's ranch. Nari was on the first one, with Bora, Taeyang, and baby Isolde. Behind them came hundreds of Velthrian families, carrying everything they owned in simple bags. Do-hyun met them at the landing site. Nari walked up to him, and for a moment they just looked at each other. So much had changed. So much had stayed the same. Thank you, she said, for taking this risk. Thank you for trusting me. He looked past her at the nervous refugees. Ready to work? I have been practicing, Nari said with a small smile. She held up her hands. They were still elegant and silver blue, but now they had calluses. The hands of someone who knew how to work. The first few weeks were hard. Most of the Velthrians had never done physical labor before. They didn't know how to build fences or plant crops or care for animals. They got frustrated easily. Some wanted to quit and go back to Velthria, even though there was nothing to go back to. But Nari had learned from Do-hyun. She knew how to keep going when things were hard. She worked beside the refugees, showing them that if she could learn, they could too. Slowly, things improved. The refugees built homes on land that Do-hyun's neighbors had agreed to lease at fair prices. They learned to grow food and raise animals. They discovered skills they never knew they had. Bora started a program to help Velthrian children learn English. Taeyang organized playgroups where human and alien kids could become friends. Even baby Isal, now walking and talking, became a bridge between the two communities. And Do-hyun and Nari grew closer. It happened slowly, in small moments, working side by side to build a barn, teaching refugees how to use human tools, sitting on the porch in the evening, watching the sunset together. One night, 5 months after the refugees arrived, they were alone on that porch. The children were asleep. The day's work was done. The sky was full of stars. On Velthria, Nari said quietly, "We have a saying, love is not given to the beautiful, but to those who make beauty from ashes." Do-hyun looked at her. "And on Earth we just say I love you and hope it's enough. Is it enough?" "For me, yes." They kissed under the Montana stars, two people from different worlds who had found something neither expected. Not just love, but partnership. Not just attraction, but respect. They had built something together, something real and lasting. Then the peace was shattered. A message came through on Do-hyun's comm device. It was from Earth Defense. Jaewon had escaped during transport between prisons. He had killed 3 guards and stolen a ship. Intelligence suggested he was heading to Earth. "He is coming for me," Nari said, her face going pale. "For us. Let him come," Do-hyun said. "He won't get past me. You cannot fight him alone. He will bring mercenaries, weapons. Then I won't fight alone." Do-hyun sent a message to the refugee community. Within an hour, 200 Velthrians and 50 humans gathered at the ranch. They were armed with whatever they could find. Farming tools, hunting rifles, determination. Youngsu showed up with Hyejin. "Heard you might need backup." "Always," Do-hyun replied. Jaewon arrived at sunset just like a bad guy in a movie. His ship landed in the same field where the Krexith had landed months before. He walked out with 12 mercenaries at his back, heavily armed and armored. He saw the crowd waiting for him and laughed. "This is what you bring against me? Farmers and refugees?" "They're more than that," Do-hyun called back. "They're a community, something you never understood. I came for my wife and my children. They belong to me. We belong to no one," Nari shouted. She stepped forward, unarmed but unafraid. "I am not your property. My children are not your tools. We are free and we choose to stay here. Then you choose death." Jaewon raised his weapon. Every gun in the crowd came up. 200 weapons, all pointed at Jaewon and his 12 mercenaries. One of the mercenaries looked around and slowly lowered his weapon. "Boss, I don't think this is—" "Kill them all," Jaewon screamed. The mercenaries looked at each other. They had been hired to fight a woman and some kids, maybe a rancher. "Not an army, we're out," the lead mercenary said. He and his team backed away, leaving Jaewon alone. Jaewon's face twisted with rage. "Cowards! I will do it myself." He fired at Nari. Do-hyun threw himself in front of her, taking the plasma bolt in his shoulder. He went down hard. Nari caught him before he hit the ground. "No, no, no." Jaewon advanced, his weapon raised for a killing shot. "You should have stayed on Velthria. You should have known your place." Nari laid Do-hyun gently on the ground. Then she stood up. She didn't have a weapon. She didn't need one. She walked straight at Jaewon, and something in her face made him hesitate. "You taught me I was worthless," she said, her voice like ice. "You tried to break me. You failed." She grabbed his weapon and twisted it from his grip. Years of training as a noble had made her weak. But months of ranch work had made her strong. She threw the weapon aside and faced him with just her hands. "I choose mercy," she said. "Because I am better than you." She hit him once hard and he went down. Earth defense ships arrived moments later. They arrested Jaewon and his abandoned mercenaries. This time there would be no escape. Medics rushed to Do-hyun. The plasma burn was bad but not fatal. They stabilized him quickly. As they worked, Nari held his good hand. "You threw yourself in front of me." "Of course I did," Do-hyun said, his voice weak but steady. "I love you." "That was very stupid." "Probably. Do not do it again." "Can't promise that." She kissed him, not caring that everyone was watching. When she pulled back, she was crying and smiling at the same time. "When you are better," she said, "we are getting married." Is that a proposal? It is a statement of fact. 5 years passed. The ranch became a thriving community center. The original 1,000 refugees had grown to 10,000, spread across Montana and 3 neighboring states. Crime didn't increase, The economy actually got stronger as Velthrians and humans worked together, combining their different skills and knowledge. Other countries saw what Montana did and opened their borders too. Earth accepted 2 million refugees total, and the Earth model became famous throughout the galaxy. Other planets started their own integration programs. Dohyun and Nari got married in a ceremony that blended human and Velthrian traditions. Bora was studying to be a doctor, using her knowledge of both species to advance medical science. Taeyang ran an exchange program that sent human and Velthrian teenagers to each other's worlds. Isul, now 7 years old, spoke 3 languages and wanted to be a rancher like her stepfather. One evening, as Dohyun and Nari sat on their porch watching another sunset, an alarm went off. Something had crashed in the back,